Now I did watch. What did I watch? But I must have just watched it as I was uploading a part of it last week. I sniff all the time. I think that's gross, and I'm so sorry, but I can't not sniff, otherwise I can't breathe. So you've just got to deal with what's going on there. Right, I'm going to kick off with the summit, and there's only a couple of points. What I'm going to do, anyone coming to the summit, I managed to get Thomas to find the list. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the event in person that happens in Retford, where we live, this Saturday, basically. If you don't know, that's absolutely fine. Or if you're not coming, that's fine too. So I'm just going to go over it quickly. But we will be, I'll set up a group chat. I was umming and ahhing about whether to do a separate one, but I'm going to because we did use it quite a lot even after the event to share photos and all of that last year. So I am going to set that up separately, tries to prevent too much spam going through the main group about the event for those of you that aren't going to make it. So we'll do that tomorrow, and share, like, reshare the information so you can, I'll pin it and you can find it a bit easily and more accessible. But obviously it's this Saturday, guys, which is amazing. And we're excited to see so many of you there. I've got so many messages on my screen. But yes, just know I've been firefighting the fuck out of this event this week. I don't know what happens with these summits. I think someone gives me bad juju. And the week of the summits, this has happened twice now, it seems to go to shit the week of the event. And everybody goes, oh no, no, no. And I'm like, no, stop it. Like I'm pregnant. I'm trying to deal with this. It's a Monday morning. Can you just give me a minute? So basically, I don't know if we've managed. At the moment, the Olympic lifter that we had secured is no longer coming, which is fucking epic. I love it when women let like loads of other women down. Like it thrills me to my core. So she will not be there. We are trying to find a backup. We do have another backup, but it's a man, and I really wanted it to be a woman. So we are trying. Just know if it does end up being Ben, he is the owner. He is incredible. He's very thorough. He knows what he's doing. But I really want to see if we can get it to actually be a woman because I like that concept. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, we'll make the best of what we've got, and it will still be amaze balls. So that's that. It's always fun organizing an event when you can't control people, can you? You can't control. I like control. Please wear practical clothing. I kind of feel like it should go without saying, but obviously we are going to be, it is a practical event. There's going to be lots of parts of it. Now, one thing I will say is it is essentially in a warehouse style building. There is no heating. I don't know what the weather is going to do on Saturday. Could be absolutely Baltic, so wrap up enough that, but also you might get very warm, so then we can delay it. Do you know what I mean? I would work that way. As there'll be parts where we stand still, have lunch and things, and you might get a bit cold again. So please just layer up and delay it as we need to. Also, obviously, again, it has been very, very wet. If you are coming on the walk at the end, it has been extraordinarily wet around us. Now, it has actually started to dry this week, but it might not be again by Saturday. So please wear good weather outdoor shoesies. Bring a water bottle. Again, you'll be able to top it up as much as you need to, but we've got to stay hydrated. Obviously, we're providing lunch and all of the rest of it. 11 a.m. start. We are aiming to start at 11. Last year, we took way too long filling out insurance forms. So I am going to be sending those out to you guys in advance, unless I've got all of the details I need. If I have, I'll try and do it on behalf of everyone to save everyone a job. If not, look out for those. I just don't want us all faffing around doing that at the beginning like we had to on the last one. Please also park around the back. I don't know why there is parking at the front. Not much, but they don't love it when people actually park out the front. So there is a full designated car park at the back, which you will see just by going to the side of the building. All of that I am going to put in a message, so don't panic. Right, water. No, weight scale fluctuations. I haven't even had a minute to put these slides together. So you are just going to be listening to me. I managed to make notes, but that we're not sliding it today. You're just going to listen to Ash. So the first thing I would say is it's water retention. When the weighing scales read, if you're like, we're asking you guys to track them Monday through Sunday, really good practice Really, really good practice because we want to be able to educate you on the nuance. And sometimes weekly data is just not good enough. And what you've got to think about as well is, let's say, for one of these reasons I'm about to explain, that you weigh yourself, let's say you check in every Friday and you just do it Friday to Friday, and then something's happened on that Thursday to cause a spike on the Friday. You've only got one day of data. And then it's kind of going, oh, okay, now we can't see the full picture. And we can't go, well, yesterday it was way lower. So something's happened here that we can actually coach you, but we can't coach you without the data. So it's always data over drama. I can appreciate not everyone likes the weighing scales. Not everybody can. We do coach differently for some of the women. Obviously, if you're on this Zoom, you probably are a weighing scale reader. So you've got some idea and you're kind of okay with it. Number one, reasons why the weight will fluctuate on this weighing scales. We're fucking human, guys. Okay? This is a human body. This is not a robot. This is not like, if you think of my phone, this mass doesn't change at any point. Like, it will weigh the same right now as it would tomorrow, and it would the next day, and it would the next day, because this phone is unchanging. Unless I do something to it, it's not going to change. But we are not phones. We are not an inanimate object. We are living, breathing creatures who are actually doing different things day to day. Like, so naturally, we have to just expect that the weighing scales will move and maneuver day to day because we are just human beings. And like I say, we're not an inanimate object that the volume and the mass is literally always going to remain the same of. Number two, if you follow a natural menstrual cycle, or if you are hit in the fanny with perimenopause, and it is going to come for you, because even if you're perimenopausal, unless your cycle has completely stopped and has done for so long that you almost guarantee that you're not going to get a bleed again, if you're still in the throes of perimenopause where you might get a bleed, you might get one every 3 months, you might get one every 6 months, or you are in a natural 28-day, 36-day kind of there or thereabout cycle, not on the pill, that kind of scenario, you are likely to see some fluctuation around your cycle. This is the other reason we really like you to weigh yourselves, because we want you to learn your specific body. So if we know, right, okay, I come on my period, day one is usually when the weight creeps up. Right, okay, now I've seen that, I can then track that going forwards and go, yeah, okay, second month that that's happened. Ah, okay, perfect. But by day five, I know it's going to have subsided. That's absolutely fine. If we don't measure and track the data, we will never learn your organic cycle. Now, again, it's not a fixed metric. It's not something that's going to be like, right, I'm going to gain exactly 1 kilogram every single time I come on my period every single month. It's not an exact science. It won't work like that, but it will leave clues, and that's kind of what we want to do, is track that so we can panic a bit less. So we can see the results and go, oh, this happened last month. So I kind of know this is my pattern. And every woman is a little bit different, by the way. I usually gain a bit of weight about 2, 3 days before my bleed actually begins. And then it usually will hang on. I think mine hangs on for the rest of fucking time. But usually I will be like the very last day of the bleed, or what I would say is day five. I might not actually even bleed for 5 days, but it will be more like day five. So I might see that water retention hanging on in there for 7 days. It can be quite high depending on your like self and usually what you weigh. It can actually be as high as like 3 to 5 kilograms. Now, it won't be if you only weigh 55 kilograms, but if you are at like double that, you've got to expect a little bit more water retention than somebody that weighs literally half of your size. So you've got to kind of take that into consideration, that it can be quite a significant increase, but also it might not be. So some of you guys might not see as much water retention as another woman inside of the program. So again, what I don't want anyone to do is go, oh my God, my friend sees absolutely no increase on the weighing scales. And you go, well, that's great for your friend, but this is you. We want to learn, it's you against you, not you against everybody else, if that makes sense. Glycogen stores. So, glycogen is basically so when we eat carbohydrates, our body stores onto glycogen, which is essentially again that water retention. So, every single 1 gram of carbohydrates that you consume, you're going to retain around 3 to 4 grams of water. That is glycogen. And again, that is what your muscles are going to use to break down and use as energy. Not a bad thing at all. In fact, a very, very good thing. We like carbohydrates, we like energy, but we have to know that is going to impact the weighing scales. And again, it's fine if you're staying within the range of the macros we have set you. However, let's say I'm just going to use round numbers. Let's say I've set you 100 grams of carbohydrates. If one day you eat 40 grams and the next day you eat 200 grams, your weight is going to plummet the day after this really low day, but then it's going to absolutely spike the morning after this really high day. So it's always the day after. That's the trend that we're kind of looking for. Now, if you log and track correctly, I will point this out to you, or Coach Cat will point this out to you immediately. We will be able to go through your log and go, that's what happened. And when you get a bit savvier, you'll be able to see this for yourself. But that is usually one of the things we will end up saying to you. If your weight is doing this, we're going to say, look, guys, we've just got to kind of stabilize those carbohydrates. You'll have seen me put it in the group chat as well. That's one of the things that we just want to kind of bring back in. So again, no issues with carbohydrates. I don't want anyone to fear the water weight that is around carbohydrates. It's not good, it's not bad, it is necessary. But we just don't want those huge spikes and drops of carbohydrates. We want to just keep it on a relative so that the weighing scales aren't dramatically flapping around because that just causes a huge amount of panic and upset. Digestion slash bowel movements. Obviously, if you're still digesting, so let's say you ate slightly later. So you maybe got home later and you ate later, like I've eaten later tonight. So my weight in the morning might be higher because I have eaten later. So I just might not have digested as quickly. So tomorrow morning, as an example, I'm not weighing myself particularly. But if I were, and I hadn't been able to go for a poo, naturally I've got more food in my body. I've just got more inside of me. So even the time that you weigh yourself in the morning can have an implication. So if you weigh yourself earlier or later, or let's say you get up slightly later on a weekend, do you know what I mean? That might have an impact. Or your ability to have eaten later the night before also could play an impact because there quite literally might be more food inside of you. If you're constipated, constipated, this is another thing. We love it when you actually put in your daily check-ins the little poo symbols. That's really helpful for us because we are going to be able to coach you about that. And please know, I had a really good check-in on Friday with a lady, and she went really in depth, obviously, like to do with like bum hole issues, basically. And she was like, I feel like I can tell you this. Yes, that is what I want to hear. If you have any issues, any challenges, anything, we really want to know about it. And I promise you, this is the safest space you could ever ask for. I was raised by a family where nothing was off the table, nothing at all ever was too much. Like, I could talk to my stepfather about periods. I could talk to him about like literally anything. Like that is the way that we are, and we want you guys to be able to communicate with us about anything at all. So please don't ever feel like, oh God, I'm talking about poo, or do you know what I mean? And I get why some people feel uncomfortable. It's just we're fine. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. So I just want to say, like, the more honest you are, the better, for, as far as I'm concerned. Like, you can tell me anything, and I promise, I can guarantee it'll be water off a duck's back to me, and we'll just be able to coach you a bit more thoroughly through whatever it is you're going through. And I went back to this person and said, I didn't know having a sore bum hole was a part of pregnancy. I've got an extremely sore bum hole. So if anybody is ever thinking, oh my God, can I share this? Can I not? Just know my bum hole is agony. And I'm pretty sure I am now getting more piles and I haven't even gone through the birthing process. So it's a joy. It's a joy, a joy, a joy. So like I say, nothing is off topics. I will just share back with you so you feel more comfortable. So those things are going to make a difference. If you've had a poo, if you haven't had a poo, obviously. And if you're in a bit of a constipation station, again, it is going to impact the weighing scales. Dehydration, another massive one. If you are not drinking your 2 liters of water, and this to me, this is what everyone can do. There is no real reason why anybody in any profession, any situation can't get their 2 liters of water in a day. You get a really good flask or whatever you want to call it, a bottle, and you go about your day and you make sure you keep topping it up and you make sure you keep drinking it. But dehydration is going to cause, again, a bit of retention on the weighing scales. Going the other way, sodium intake. So this was a really good one the other day, and one of you ladies reached out to me to say, "Oh, the weighing scales have gone up quite a bit today, but I swear I stayed on plan. Would you mind just going through and having a look?" And I went back and I was literally recording my voice as I was doing it. And I was just chatting away and talking and went through it. And then I got to the bottom of that day's food log and there was gammon. And I was like, "Oh, there's gammon, Vic." And she was like, "Ah." And as soon as I said it, and gammon is a very, very salty meat. Nothing wrong with gammon at all. Apart from the fact I'm not a massive fan. But there's nothing inherently wrong with gammon. It's just incredibly salty. Like if you were to have like salt all over the food, some of you guys will love salt, some of you guys won't really touch it. And again, sodium is not inherently bad for the body. It's actually we need salt in order to function. It's just there's a level that can again start to push up the water retention because it's kind of pushing you into the dehydration category because you've had a lot more salt. So it's just one to watch. Again, it might be a rare consideration. Like she was going, "What the fuck? Like I've done everything right." And as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's the culprit." And it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It does make sense when you realize. Steps. So I had a lady on the free challenge last week. She wasn't tracking it as well as I'd have liked to have seen, but she was kind of tracking her daily weight. And then she put in her steps every single day. And then on like the Thursday, she was like, "Oh, my weight has spiked, but I started taking creatine. Do you think that's a bit of a causation?" So I answered her. I said, "No, I don't." I said, "If you're microdosing it at the 3 grams, which is what usually women will go into creatine with, which by the way is completely safe, absolutely fine. Rather than macro dosing, where you try and get it into your system a lot faster, you're probably likely to see men do that a lot more than you are women because it can cause a little bit of a reaction on the weighing scales. But I said, I don't think it's that. I said, in all honesty, I'm pretty sure it's the 22,000 steps that you did yesterday when you normally average 8,000. That is a lot more than you are used to doing. So if you normally do 8,000 steps a day and then you suddenly have this high day, what your body does is draw water into your muscles as a way to try and get through the recovery faster. Again, the human body is spectacularly beautiful in its way of actually dealing with this. But what it's trying to do is help you recover faster. Really good thing. That's what we want. And anyway, I talked her through it all. And within 2 days, she was like, "Yep, my weight is completely back down. I'm still taking creatine. You were right." She still couldn't get convinced to come into the program. But anyway, at least she knew something. She'd learned something that day. The poor woman's house flooded, bless her. So she was a little bit like, "Oh, no, I can't take anything on at the moment." But this is the point. If you normally do 22,000 steps in a day, you wouldn't see that spike, by the way. But this is when we do a dramatic increase over a window, or it can be training. If you do a really heavy lifting session, let's say you go at 8 p.m. at night and you wouldn't normally do that, you might see that on the weighing scales the next morning. If you go for a park run or do something again slightly out of character, your body is going to draw that water in as an attempt to try and recover you a bit faster. Like I said, brilliant, brilliant mechanism, but it's just worth noting. Stress and cortisol. So, cortisol is the stress hormone. It's going to hold on to a bit of body fat, but it's not going to be very helpful. So, this is things like mega high stress, and you will know this. Usually, you would communicate this with us. So let's say you've got a huge amount of career stress, personal life stress, whatever's going on. It's really helpful for us to know that because, again, you are going to slightly prevent your body from operating as optimally as it can because we don't want to live in a high stress zone. The human body is not designed to stay really highly strung for a long period of time. There are going to be side effects to remaining very highly stressed. In the same way that lack of sleep, again, I know we covered sleep off last week, but that's also not particularly beneficial for like the weighing scales actually doing the bits that we want to. And you might notice if you have a really shocking night's sleep, the weighing scales might go up because you are increasing the cortisol. All of these things are interlinking. So it's kind of going, oh, we're having a bit of a reaction. And that is going to cause some water retention. Alcohol, boozy, Susie. We actually have a Susie. I shouldn't say that. It's like, what was it I said about you, Karen? I can't remember. When I used your name, and I was like, oh no, she's great. Susie, for the record, is not boozy. She's amazing. But alcohol is another one. It's going to cause water retention. The human body doesn't love it. It is a poison to the human body, and it's going to work really hard to try and get it out of your system. In order to do that, it has to go into recovery mode. So, again, it's going to store water to try and help itself get rid of that process a lot quicker. But again, alcohol, you are likely to see a little bit of a spike on the weighing scales. Also, the fat burning process is going to stall while there is ethanol in your system. My bra strap's annoying, sorry. Um, Environmental. Now, this is really interesting. Last summer, we saw this really like on the most kind of compound effect that we've ever seen it in the program. And I was so excited. No one else was. Everyone else is going, where's my weight gone up? Oh my God. And I was like, it's 40 degrees outside, guys. We've all swollen. We've all literally, we've swollen up a little bit because our bodies don't live in 40 degrees. Now, if you live in a desert, that probably wouldn't happen because you'd start to get used to it. But when we hit, like, I think it actually went over 40 degrees last year, and everyone across the board of the program, suddenly the weight went up. And I was like, I don't think everyone's hit the fuck it button. I was like, I'm calling it. That has not happened. And it wasn't huge, but it was noticeable. And again, like from a scientific kind of evidence-backed place, I was like, oh, this is exciting. But again, nobody else thought that. So it's something to be mindful of in the summer months. It's a bit like when you go skiing, if anyone goes skiing, like you'll notice your hands shrink, and again, even in really cold weather in this country, when you try and put gloves or anything on, and they're like shrink down when you're super cold, then you go somewhere and it's warm, and everything just swells up again, and your hands go really pink. It's essentially that. Um, Body recomposition. Now, this is the one I am very careful about saying because this is more your reverse dieters. This is more people like to use this as an excuse, and I will call them out on it. It's really hard to build a significant amount of muscle to really change the reading on the weighing scales. If you are being coached through a body fat dropping phase, and you start to say, "Oh no, I don't think you know what? I've hit everything. I don't think it's that. I think it's just the size of my muscles is now so big. That's why the weighing scales are going up." No, it is not. It is not because it's way easier to drop body fat than it ever will be to build muscle. There will be a point where you will see the difference. And again, in this reverse diet phase, you'll see my body looks completely different and I have huge, amazing body recomposition. I feel incredible. Like I've got all of the things and the stuff that I want. And now I get to eat more. Like you will see the difference. That is another thing, actually, by the way, I should say, reverse dieting. We can see an increase in the weighing scales without your body changing purely because you're eating more. Again, we are putting literally more volume of food into our bodies. So we can see only marginally, we shouldn't see dramatic increases on the weighing scales, but we see a little bit, and your body usually looks better, not worse. But yeah, anyone that's really saying, like, do you know what I mean? If you weigh, I don't know, let's say 80 kilograms as an example, and you've been dieting for a few months and then the weighing scales start to go up and if you're trying to say, oh, I think it's the muscle mass, I'll be saying bullshit. Like it is not the muscle mass. Something is just not working right. Most likely in the nutrition piece, and that's what we've got to work on to get that going down because you should be able to drop another 10, 15, 20 kilograms before we really see any difference on the weighing scales for the muscle mass because muscle is so small, which is the other reason we will never get bulky as women. We do not have the testosterone in our body, like we have about 5% compared to men, and it drops very, very carefully in a very short window in our cycle, literally kind of in the middle of the month. That's it. It is minuscule. So it's like we just don't have the physiques to support that. So it's just not that. It is not that. Right, I'm pretty sure that was them all. I've rattled them off, didn't I? I rattled those straight through, no qualms. Does anybody have any questions, any scenarios, anything in terms of like staying on this topic that you think, oh, this happened to me once, or what about this? Can that happen? Or anything at all where you think, oh, what is this about? You know, it was really funny last week. Was it last week or the week before when we were in Norway? Obviously, my family were in the background as I was doing the presentation, and we came off, and my stepdad was like, God, you never stop talking, do you? And he said, you asked if they had any questions, but you just spoke over. You just didn't stop talking. And I was like, no, they put them in the chat box. And he was like, oh, he didn't realize. He thought you were going to unmute yourselves and talk. And he was like, you just didn't even give them a chance. I was like, I didn't start doing a heel stretch on the settee for my own fun. He's like, oh, that's fair enough. Illness, yes. Sorry, Karen. That's another one. Massively, yeah. Antibiotics as well, another one. I think we're kind of coming out of that phase, thank fucking God, because some of you guys have really been on the antibiotics at the minute. That is another one. And yes, so please do expect that anything that's kind of out of the ordinary in that sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, hopefully, we don't get ill too often, but yeah, but also that's where the weighing scales can dramatically drop as well. I've been coaching one of the ladies through this quite heavily over the last week. So basically, she was really poorly, unable to eat. You know, when you're like basically vomiting everything up that you've got inside of you. Water weight in her body plummeted. Then she obviously kind of was starting to eat again, and she was like, holy fuck, my weight is really going up. And I was like, no, no, it's not. You've had this artificial drop because you've been emptied, which obviously now you're going to weigh less again because there is fuck all inside of you. Like, we never have completely empty bodies unless we're really poorly. There is always some digestion going on unless your body is literally trying to expel the whole lot out of you. So then she just kind of came back up to her calories and she was like, but my weight has spiked. And I was like, no, no, it's still exactly where it's meant to be. You're now just getting the water weight from actually having food inside of you again. So that kind of thing where we can see a crash and then a spike, you're just back to where you were. It's just you feel like you want what you had. Have you ever been really sick and you feel like you've got a six pack? That's what that's about. But unfortunately, you will see an increase on the weighing scales before it comes back down again. So yes, anything like that can cause that. Haha, your stepdad. Sorry, I missed the start. Been fighting for space at the gym. That's absolutely fine. Obviously, it's recorded. Anybody can watch it back. Any more for any more? Any other things that I have missed? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that, I mean, that is the majority of it. But if you ever think, oh, could it be this? Please put that in your check-in, or please do put that into your, because if it is a slight nuance and we go, yes, that's why, it's really helpful to know that information. So people overlook things like the steps or things like that. They just don't realize that that can play a part. And if we're trying to find a needle in a haystack that we can't see, usually we'll ask the right questions. But it might be the one thing that you go, oh, yeah, by the way, I am on antibiotics. Oh, yeah, I did just switch medications. Oh, yeah, I did just start HRT. Oh, yeah, I did. And I'm like, right, okay, we got there. It's just a case of us finding out the trigger point. Right, any more for any more in terms of um what trying to say any questions, any form checks, anything basically, anything at all. Great session, Ash. Can't wait to see the pics from the summit. Yes, we have a different photographer this time. I always get really nervous because I'm like, oh God. And my briefs are like savage. I don't think I'm easy to work with. Coach Cat will be like, she fucking isn't. She fucking isn't. There's a high standard that I like people to meet. And the photographer will be like, whoa. But do you know what I mean? Like, we have to be very careful around our bodies and what we see, especially when we're quite used to being torn apart or we don't like things. That's where I've got to make sure everything's bang on. But the last one did a really good job. This one will also be briefed very heavily to do a very good job. And I will also be very, very closely watching what's going on as well. So that's really good. Nothing wrong with having high expectations. It can be when sometimes you just deliver it a little bit too hard on the nose, sometimes trying to work on that and go, oh, okay, communicate with impact, but not with fear. Lol, I think some of you guys will get where I'm coming from there anyway. I think you probably, well, a lot of us are cut from the same cloth, and that's why we found our people. But yeah, it's going to be mega. And I looked through all of you guys attending today and I got very, very excited because it's such a beautiful mixture of like some of you guys are newer, some of you guys have been in the program a long time. Like yeah, it's going to be freaking epic. So watch this space. Apologies to anyone again who couldn't make it. We will try and broaden out how long you get in advance so that we can actually try and sort that. But yeah, we just decided to commit with this one and stop overthinking. Just actually commit and pull the trigger. But have a wonderful week, legends. Oh, and that's a final thing. Sorry, if you are coming to the summit, there are no check-ins. You can check in, of course you can. But my priority is going to be working with the women who are not coming to the summit through their check-ins and obviously making sure that I've still got time to prepare for this event, given the fact the check-ins are the day before the damn event. So please know that responsibility lies with you at the summit. We can check in anything. We can go through anything you want to go through, but it's your responsibility to talk to me or talk to Kat. Please don't feel bad. Don't think, oh God, like we've tried to structure it differently this time. So we're not running each individual session like I did last time. So there is the ability to come and grab me or like, do you know what I mean? Go, oh, actually, I'm just going to talk to Ash or Kat for a minute. Like we're not as running the sessions. I've deliberately brought external people in so that we can hopefully do that. So that's your responsibility. Please grab us. Don't feel bad. Don't hang around. Don't fuck about. Just say, I need to chat to you when you've got a minute and we'll come find you. That's the way we want it to go. But anyone else not coming, please check in as normal. And again, like I say, you can check in. If you're coming to the summit, you absolutely can. It's just we will take you through the feedback when we see you on Saturday. So that's how we're going to do it this week. So have an incredible week and we will see you very soon. Bye, ladies. Night.